Welcome back to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quarterbaum. Tell Me More exists to help bridge the gap in our intergenerational workplaces, families, and communities, and also to build better leaders. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Gen Z being the spiritual successors of millennials. Now, if you're a millennial like me and you think that is completely off base, stick with me. Let me prove my point. So many generations look at Gen Z like this grave anomaly, this weird group of people that we just can't figure out or get together. But in reality, Gen Z is not that different from the rest of us. I spend maybe way too much time with Gen Z, but I find that their fashion trends are mimicking ours, their musical taste mimics ours, their references for culture, they love binge watching all of our old shows and movies. And let me tell you why this matters. Because boomers are on their way out. They're exiting the workforce. Xers are not far behind them. For decades, millennials and Gen Z are going to be working together. And if this is true, then how can we as millennials prepare ourselves for what is going to be the future of work? For this people that we get to work with, not have to, we get to work with, train, lead, and mentor. If we can understand this, grasp this concept, I think it will lead to more harmonious workplaces, it will lead to better communities, and ultimately to a better society. So a lot of what characterizes Gen Z, I would argue we did it first. First up, digital natives. We were there first. We are the earliest days of the internet for commercial use. I'm old enough, I like to say, I'm the internet is not a resource old. I have distinct memories from middle school where we had to do research papers and my teacher saying you can't use the internet as a resource. As millennials, we remember what it's like to go through the encyclopedia to gather facts and data, going to the library. But we also remember the earliest days of Google. This idea that you can type in any question you have in the world and it was going to spit back an answer to you. Jonathan Haidt correctly points out that Gen Z is the first generation to go through puberty on the internet. But really, it wasn't too much different for us. Right after puberty, for many millennials, the internet starts to become a thing. Do you remember the AOL chat rooms? Social media, Skonex, Mi Gente, Black Planet, we were there first. We have seen, as millennials, the entire transformation of the digital age. We remember the first cell phones where really all you could do is play Snake to now this place where we all have these supercomputers in our pockets. We were the first ones to go through graduation and be handed a BlackBerry so we could stay connected at all times. We were the ones who were sold the dream that having email in your pocket was going to be such an advancement for you. And now we understand what it's like for work to never turn off. The way we love to argue that Gen Z's addicted to their phones, I would say millennials, we're just as bad. Between work, social media, the endless group chats, watching Netflix or whatever your preferred streaming service is, we're all constantly glued to these little devices. So who is better equipped to help walk with Gen Z through the transition into life and helping to prevent the tech overreach that has come on so many of us than millennials? You know what else they say about Gen Z? They say they have a bad work ethic. Millennials, we were the first ones to change the game when it comes to our relationship with work. Think about it. We were sold the dream that if you got the right grades and you went to college and you got yourself a degree, you get a good job and it would afford you the American dream. Nice home in the suburbs, 2.5 kids, a dog. And in reality, what millennials have experienced are failing economies, the dream that has become a nightmare. The average millennial cannot buy a home. The student loan crisis is just continuing to get worse and worse. And we are recognizing that what our parents had, where many of them could work the same job for 25, 30 years, retire with a gold watch and a pension, that does not exist for us. We've been told our whole lives, do not count on Social Security because it won't be there. And so millennials, we started to change our relationship with work. Our boomer managers would complain that we switch jobs too often. But the truth is, in nearly every industry, if you want to get a raise, you don't get it by staying at your company. You don't get it by getting the cost of living increases that come every year. You want a 50% jump, you have to leave and go somewhere else. And oftentimes, saddled down by bureaucracy and quotas and all these different things, you can't even really jump rank in your current firm or company. And if you want to elevate, what you have to do is you have to leave for a couple of years and then go back at maybe the title, prestige, salary, whatever it is that you were looking for. Millennials figured out very early the system is not for us. It is not benefiting us. And these companies that will lay you off in a heartbeat. I graduated at the height of the financial crisis. I saw what it was like when these companies were just chopping heads. Meanwhile, their CEOs were still getting these really incredible bonuses. The company loyalty does not go both ways. And so millennials were the first ones to say, I'm going to prioritize me over you, and I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to take care of myself and my eventual family because the system is rigged. Gen Z just coming in with that same energy. Gen Z even more is like, yo, we're not doing this. We're not playing this game with you guys where you try to placate us with these trivial bonuses and trivial raises every year. We are out for hours. And you know what else we're gonna do? We're gonna set boundaries. Gen Z is really good at setting boundaries. I hear all the time from millennials and Xers and boomers who are managing Gen Z that get upset because they won't work during non-work hours. They get upset because they expect the company to hold up to whatever it is they put in the terms of agreement when they were hired. Right on, Gen Z. Gen Z is, and now this is a kind of like a bit of a different conversation, but Gen Z misses more days than anyone else due to mental health issues. I think there is nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. It was millennials who started the conversation about bringing mental health into the workspace, about understanding what it is we've been through and we've gone through and what we're feeling and where we are and recognizing that that plays a role in how I show up. And so if I need a day, I'm going to take a day. Oh, what was it on Parks and Rec? Aziz's character on Parks and Rec. Oh, man. I can't remember it. I'm going to Google it right now. It was the Parks was a treat yourself day. Millennials, we started that whole, hey, treat yourself. And Gen Z, they're running with it because they're recognizing the world that we live in, that life is short. We're the sickest we've ever been. And if this is true, why do we want to spend our lives giving it away to our companies to make more money or to do whatever it is that they do? Work is important, but work is not everything. This matters because there's a social contract. I work for you, you pay me. Socially, I'm supposed to be able to do certain things and reach certain markers. Millennials recognize that we weren't going to be able to do that. Gen Z is seeing it for themselves as well. There's nowhere in this country where minimum wage can get you a 2-bedroom apartment. Nowhere. And when The Simpsons debuted in 1989, they were meant to depict the typical middle-class family. 3 kids, dog, cat, house in the suburbs, mom stayed at home, dad worked a factory job. That does not exist anymore. Just the other day, I was talking to a guy who worked at UPS for 30 years. 30 years he worked at UPS and was able to buy a home in a very nice suburb of New York, put his kids through college. That does not exist for the current UPS worker. And he wasn't in corporate. He was a UPS driver. And now he's getting ready to sell his home, his modest home, for nearly $1 million. Boomers are raking in the profits and rewards. Millennials are looking at a barren landscape. And Gen Z sees there just might not be any hope. So they're treating work differently. And I don't blame them. All of these things matter because it means that millennials We are uniquely positioned to walk with Gen Z, to mentor them, to lead them, to help them figure out these next steps of life. Because there is no other generation that gets where they are, that has been through what they're going through, that's asking a lot of the same questions. Xers are still bragging about how feral they were running around until the street lights came on. And boomers are still pretending that their feelings don't exist. Meanwhile, millennials sit as that perfect bridge. The generation that remembers life before Google, but also the generation that has fully relied on it to get us through high school and college. Here we are, in perfect position to help these people who will ultimately one day be making decisions for us and leading this country. Gen Z is on record for being the most isolated and anxious generation. If there's anything we figured out in this life, it is that we do not get through it alone. And anytime we spend our time and our life and our energy just trying to white knuckle our way through and grasping at what we can in order to live and exist, it just ends up in failure. So what does it look like for us to be the people who remembers life before the internet? Life before we were all put in these digital boxes, to pull Gen Z off the screen and into community, deep, life-giving, affirming community, as the people who understand them better than anyone else. From a personal and professional standpoint, there's a myriad of studies that show the importance and significance of intergenerational relationships. We are creatures of imitation, of mimicry. We learn how to do and be from watching and sitting at the feet of others. In many ways, you could say that life is one long apprenticeship if you do it right. Sitting at the feet of those who have gone before you and have done the things you've done and walked the road that you've walked, teaching you the steps, teaching you the way. For a generation that has retreated, for a myriad of reasons, what does it look like for us to step in and be those mentors we are uniquely positioned to be? In the end, I think this deep generational divide is more myth than reality. What we have, all of us, are really just these isolated groups of people operating in our tiny slivers, thinking that they are everything. But here we are with a chance to create the society we're looking for. One of clarity and connection. One where people can exist and be as they are. We have a chance to do that. But maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, CJ, I hear you, but I really just can't stand Gen Z with their slang and they're talking about Riz and there's this mewing thing and I don't have time for it and I'm going to keep as much distance between me and them as I can. To you, I say, I hear you. Maybe that's the path you want to go, but recognize at some point you will, on a deep level, have to engage with Gen Z. Don't wait until that moment to get to know them. But what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.